Nupe people, called Nupesi in their own language, are an ethnic group of north-central Nigeria, primarily along the Niger River basin in what is today Niger State. Numbering around 4 million people, they also live in parts of Kwara and Kogi states and the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Neighbors have their own names for the Nupe. For example, the Hausa call them Nofawa and the Yoruba knows them as Takwa. The Nupe homeland is a fertile region between the Niger and Kaduna rivers. Here in the heart of the West Africa, the Nupe people's story unfolds over centuries, a story of kingdoms and colonization, of rich culture and resilience. Long ago, before the Nupe had kings or a unified state, they lived in a network of about 12 small chiefdoms scattered across the river plains. These early Nupe villages, places like Tafi, Bida, Doko, Essa, Nupeko, and others were loosely allied. They would cooperate in times of need, for instance, joining forces against outside threats or settling disputes, but lacked a single ruler to bind them together. Life in these times was governed by local chiefs and family elders, and the Nupe people sustained themselves through fishing in the Niger, farming the rich soil, and trading with neighbors. They also share vibrant oral traditions of myths and legends about their origin, passed down around evening fires. According to Nupe oral history, the unification of Nupe land came in the 15th century under a legendary hero king named Tsoede, also called Edegi or Sudi. Tsoede's story is still told with pride. He was born to a Nupe mother, but a powerful Igala father, the Ata, king of Ida, from the neighboring kingdoms beyond the river Niger. As the day goes, in those days, the more organized Igala kingdom held sway over the Nupe, even demanding tribute from them, including slaves from each Nupe household. Young Tsoede himself was given up as a tribute slave and taken to Ida. There, the Ata of Igala recognized the boy as his own son and raised him as a prince. Tsoede grew up in the Igala palace, learning statecraft and warfare. But after the Ata died, palace intrigue put Tsoede's life in danger. Jealous half-brothers schemed against him. Tsoede escaped Ida and returned to his mother people, determined to free them from Igala's domination. Nupe tradition vividly describes Tsoede's homecoming. He is said to have left Ida in a bronze canoe, carrying with him sacred regalia given by his father, royal brass bracelet, a sword, and other Igala royal insignia. When Tsoede arrived back in Nupe land, settling first in Nupeko, he used both diplomacy and military skill to rally the 12 disparate villages under his leadership. One by one, through persuasion and conquest, he united the Nupe-speaking people into a single Nupe kingdom. Tsoede took the title of Etsu Nupe, meaning King of Nupe, becoming the first to hold that honor. Under his reign, the Nupe kingdom expanded its influence. Tradition even records that Tsoede led expeditions against neighboring people, pushing southward towards Yoruba country and north towards Kamoku and Kambari peoples. He established a capital at Nupeko, from where he wielded authority over the entire Nupe land. Tsoede is more than a political founder. He is cherished as a cultural hero. The Nupe credits him with fostering their arts and craft. In fact, beautifully crafted bronze artifacts known as the Tsoede's bronze are attributed to his era, and some of this treasure can be seen today in Nigeria's National Museum. After a long reign, Tsoede died around 1591 during a military expedition. He was buried somewhere in the far north of his kingdom, and with his passing, he left behind a united Nupe nation. Generations later, Nupe people still celebrate Tsoede's legacy as the great liberator who bound them into one people. Following Tsoede's era, Nupe kings Etsu Nupe from his lineage ruled the land. The kingdom stood independently for centuries, developing its identity and interacting with powerful neighbors. Nupe oral histories and neighboring legends suggest that the Nupe were not isolated. They formed relationship through both conflict and alliance. For example, there is a fascinating legend about ties to the Yoruba Empire of Oyo to the southwest. According to some tradition, Oromiyan, a famed prince in Yoruba law, son or grandson of Oduduwa, took a Nupe woman often named Elenpe as one of his wives. From this union, The story says King Shango, the legendary thunderbolt-wielding king of Oyo, making Shango half Nupe by blood. In these stories, when Shango's own brother, Ajaka, later led a Yoruba invasion into Nupe's country, the Nupe Etsu, whom Yoruba called Lajomo, fought back fiercely, even pursuing victory into Yoruba lands. Some accounts claim that Nupe forces once conquered part of the Oyo Empire, though eventually peace was restored and cultural exchange flowed in both directions. Indeed, Nupe and Yoruba people share some cultural ideas. It is said that Nupe introduced the Egungun masquerade traditions to the Yoruba. The Egungun are costumed ancestral masquerades. Whether fact or folklore, these tales underscore a historical reality. The Nupe were connected through trade, intermarriage, and occasional warfare with the wider region, including the Igala to the east, the Hausa and Borno people to the north, and the Yoruba to the south. Though, through this interaction, the Nupe enriched their culture and learned from others while firmly holding on to their own identity. From its early days, the Nupe kingdom developed a distinctive political and social organization. At the top of this, Etsu Nupe, the king, a sacred monarch who wielded central authority. In the pre-colonial era, especially before the 19th century, the Nupe kings ruled from their palace, the Etsu Palace, and were supported by councils of officials and elders. The Etsu appointed credible title holders to various offices, war chiefs, palace officials, and regional headsmen to help govern the land. These titled officials formed a royal council that advised the Etsu and carried out its decision, ensuring that even distant villages stayed loyal. The kingdom was divided into districts, each overseen by a local chief or district head, chosen by the Etsu Nupe. This hierarchy bound the Nupe people in a network of agents to the Etsu at Bida, the royal capital, with local leaders maintaining order and reporting up the chain. In older times, before the 19th century upheavals, the Nupe thrones likely passed among members of Tsoede's dynasty. Nupe oral records record that the ruling family of the First Kingdom resided at the Etsu Palace until the early 1800s. However, dynastic succession was not always smooth. Like many kingdoms, there were periods of intrigue and even civil strife as different princes vied for power. Despite this, the idea of Nupe unity under one king endured. Notably, even after later events brought outside influence, the Fulani conquest, which will be described shortly, the Nupe never lost the title Etsu Nupe. They continue to recognize one supreme king of all Nupe people, a symbol of their cultural resilience and unity. To this day, there is only one Etsu Nupe at a time, based in Bida, and lesser Etsu in other towns differs to him as the overall traditional leader. Everyday social life in the Nupe kingdom was organized around extended families and community groups. The Nupe traditionally lived in large village settlements called Esi. Each Esi was divided into wards known as Efu, which were clusters of family compounds. A compound typically consisted of a group of round mud bricks huts with thatch roof, all enclosed by a high mud wall as a single household unit. Several related families might share one compound, reflecting the Nupe emphasis on extended family living. Settlements were often fortified. The Nupe had a history of militancy and inter-village warfare, so villages and towns were encircled by defensive walls of earth. Even today, one can find crumbled remnants of old town walls in Nupe country, silent witness to those turbulent times. Within the walls, narrow pathways connected the wards, and there were communal spaces like markets and village squares where people gathered. This layout helped foster a close-knit social fabric. Everyone in Nupe towns knew their neighbors, and families lived side by side for generations. Nupe society was traditionally patriarchal, yet with important roles for women in certain spheres. Men typically handled leadership, farming, fishing, and warfare, while women participated actively in trade, craft production, and food processing. The Nupe developed occupational guides and castes. Blacksmiths, brass workers, weavers, and wood carvers often belonged to hereditary guide families. Their knowledge passed from parent to child. Bida, the capital, became especially known for its artisan guides, where all were specialized in a craft. One quarter might be famous for brass casting, another for glass making, another for weaving raffia mats. This strong social organization allowed the Nupe kingdom to thrive internally, while the Etsu and his council managed external relations and defense. By the late 18th century, the Nupe kingdom had stood for over 300 years, but a great transformation was on the horizon. One major change was religious. Islam was gradually taking root among the Nupe. Traders and traveling scholars from the north had likely introduced Islam ideas earlier, but it was in the 1700s that Nupe rulers first embraced the new faith. Etsu Jubre, who ruled around 1770, is remembered as the first Nupe king to convert to Islam. This was a watershed moment, although many commoners still followed the old way, worshipping ancestral spirits and local deities. The Nupe elite began to adopt Muslim names, dress, and practices. By the 1790s, Islam influence in Nupe land had grown, thanks in part to the presence of a charismatic Fulani scholar, Malam Dendo. Malam Dendos arrived as an Islamic preacher, also known as a Malam, and emissary of the Fulani from the north, settling in Nupe territory during the reign of Etsu Muasu in the late 18th century. He gathered the following of converts and injected a new seal into the Nupe Muslim community. Then came the tumultuous Fulani Jihad. In 1804, further north, the Fulani Islamic leader Usman Dan Fodio launched a jihad known as Holy War that swept across Hausa land. By 1806, Fulani warriors had ridden into the Nupe country as well, aiming to reform it under Islamic law. The Nupe kingdom faced an internal uprising blended with foreign invasion. Malam Dendo and his supporters allied with the Fulani jihadists. Amid the chaos, the old Nupe ruler dynasty, descendant of Tsoede, was toppled. Malam Dendo emerged as a new power in Nupe, effectively the kingmaker. By around 1810, he had seized authority from the indigenous Nupe leadership and became the de facto ruler of the region. This marked the end of the first Nupe kingdom and the beginning of a Fulani-led era. Malam Dendo did not assume the title of Etsu Nupe for himself, perhaps out of deference to Sokoto or due to his position as a spiritual leader. Instead, after consolidating power, he passed leadership to his family. Usman Zaki, Malam Dendo's son, became the first Etsu Nupe of the new Fulani dynasty. Sources place this around 1832 to 1835. Thus, a Fulani emirate was established in Nupe land. Although, interestingly, the title Etsu Nupe, a Nupe title for the king, was retained rather than adopting the Hausa word emir. Over the next decades, the Nupe area saw power struggle between rival Fulani factions. At one point, a contender named Umaru Ba'aushi, literally Umaru the Hausama, challenged Usman Zaki families for control. This led to a Nupe civil war from 1847 to 1856, in which various clans took sides. Ultimately, Usman Zaki's faction prevailed in 1856, solidifying his lineage rule. To secure his position, Usman Zaki moved the seat of government from the old capital Rabat to a new location, Bida. From 1857 onward, Bida became the capital of the Nupe Emirate, and it remained the spiritual heart of Nupe lands today. Under the Fulani rule, the Nupe Emirate actually entered a new golden age in the mid-19th century. One of Malam Dendo's other sons, Masaba, took the throne. He ruled in two periods with a brief interruption. During Emir Masaba's reign, from 1859 to 1873, Nupe was reportedly the most powerful kingdom in central Nigeria. Masaba was a dynamic leader, himself half Nupe and half Fulani, who balanced Islamic governance with Nupe tradition. He expanded Nupe influence, wielding authority over neighboring smaller tribes and commanding a formidable cavalry. Bida city flourished in this era. Masaba built 3 royal palaces adorned with Hausa Nupe architectural splendor, established a grand central mosque for growing Muslim population, and developed a famous night market at Bida that attracted traders from all over. Nupe armies, clad in quilted Lifidi war armor, thick padded cotton armor, were a force to reckon with, and the emirate wealth grew through trade in ivory, slaves, textile, and craft. It was during this period that European explorers and traders began hearing of the Nupe kingdom, known for its rich culture and strong leadership. Indeed, the Nupe Emirate impressed outsiders as a well-organized state. The anthropologist S.F. Nadel later dubbed it a Black Byzantium for its complex administration and courtly culture. Yet, even at the height of Nupe power under the Fulani emirs, new challenges were approaching. this time from the coast. The British, who had been expanding their trade empire in Nigeria, eventually turned their eyes to the wealthy kingdom of the Nupe. Just as we have pointed earlier, Bida had become the pride of Nupe land. Its markets were full, its warriors feared, and its leaders respected across the Niger. Under Emir Masaba, the Nupe kingdom stood tall, strong, and united. But even as Bida flourished, new forces were rising far away, across the rivers, beyond the coast. Strange men were coming, not with horses or drums, but with ships, flags, and guns. In the next part of this history, we will see how the British arrived on Nupe soil, how the mighty city of Bida faced invasion, and how the Nupe people adapted to a changing world. We will explore the fall of the old kingdom, the birth of a new traditions, and the journey that shaped who the Nupe are today. If you enjoyed this history so far, make sure you don't miss the second part. Subscribe, like, and stay tuned, because the next chapter of the Nupe history is about power, resistance, and survival. Thanks again for watching.